All right, we should be live,
Are
and
we
we should
live?
both be audible.
Can you hear me? Oh,
I can hear you.
I should probably explain when we've confirmed that they can hear me. I should probably
I
explain
think
about the
everyone can.
huge amount of crud behind me right now.
All right, what's going on? Tell us about your crud.
Well, so I'm still in the
Oh, it
same
must be
small
big.
room, but I was kind of choosing a an angle that did not show the crud. But now the crud has reached a point where there is no angle that does not show a huge amount of crud. Um,
Oh no.
anyway, so well, this has been like a long, long process of trying to get my house into a better situation. And everything basically got moved into this room, and then more stuff gets moved. And you know when you don't realize how much stuff you have until you dismantle the cupboard in which it was all stored, and you were like,
Yeah.
"How did it ever physically fit in this cupboard?" Anyway, so we dismantled my wardrobe, and this week we built the new IKEA furniture.
Ooh.
And you're like, "Oh wow, how long can it take to build an IKEA wardrobe?" The answer is 7+ days.
What?
Well, do you know it's
So
those
you
module ones, and so it's quite a long one, but like because
do
it's
you need
module.
help?
No, we've done it now, but
I would have come over and help. It would have been shorter than 7 days for me to come over there, stand on the train all the way out from London because that's always how it happens, and do it for you, and then go back, and it would have been done faster than 7 days.
it would have been. You're right, but like it's funny they often like IKEA were like, "Oh, do you want someone to build it for you?" And I'm like, "Of course we don't. I
Oh,
could do this."
idiots need that. That's dumb.
And because they quoted like £250 as well. I'm like, screw that. I'm making
Okay,
my
yeah,
own.
that's a good. That's almost
Anyway,
$250. That's not true anymore. The pound is. I always tease Gemma about the pound being coming close to parity with the dollar. It was a magic moment where it might have ever happened, and I would have never let her live it down, but it did
no,
not.
but then there was two factors in that though. The dollar was getting stronger and the pound was getting
Oh
shitter.
yeah,
And now
we'll
the
see.
dollar has just gotten a little less good,
Okay, the
and the
pound the
pound has
pound is
remained
one
shit.
point two four dollars. So it used to be like 1.5. So it's not as good as it used to be. But
But you
yeah,
know,
they were.
I love it because a lot of my clients I bill them in dollars. So every time that happens, you can mock me as much as he wants because all I can think is pay rise.
Yeah, that's true. No, it got as close as 1.07. It got real, and that was during that
Yeah.
magic period when the UK government, that prime minister lady, was like, "Our new policy is to destroy our economy," and then everyone was like, "Are you sure that's your
But we,
policy?" And they were like, "Yes,
I know, right? It was
yes."
the doubling down.
Yeah,
You
they're
know, I
like,
was
"There
like,
is no way we will do anything but destroy this nation."
well, you know what? They've been very effective at it because now, like, I mean, I know it's the same everywhere, but it's particularly bad here. Like people are looking down the barrel of terrifyingly high mortgage rate rises.
Oh dear.
And
Oh dear.
especially and that creates a particular problem similar to the housing bubble of 2008 in that the housing market was really hot before this happened, right? So
Hmm.
people were overextending themselves in a low rate environment to buy properties that probably didn't fit their lifestyle considering we were coming out of COVID.
But they could, and everyone else was doing it. Yeah, well, it's
Exactly,
similar to
exactly.
ours. Similar to
And
ours.
then and the mentality is, oh well,
God damn it.
housing will always get better, but of course now the housing
No,
market is collapsing around
no,
us,
no.
and houses are going down, like house prices are going down 15%, right? So you know if you've only got a 10% deposit, you're already in negative equity. And now, like, so I'm probably revealing too much, but my mortgage is £350 a month. When I get to renew it, it'll probably look more like
What do you mean
six hundred
renew it?
pounds. So I have a 3-year mortgage at a fixed rate, and then at the end of that fixed rate, I can fix again, or I can go into a variable tariff, or there's lots of options,
Oh,
right?
that's weird. That's weird because I
Yeah,
feel like usually for us, I mean, the variable rate mortgage is where everyone's downfall. Usually for us, like you lock it in. I got a problem where like the rate that I have something locked in at is so good that like changing it is disastrous. But as long as I don't do anything, it just sits at a good rate.
yeah. So I mean, I like that
So even
they
though we're
have
old,
offered.
talk about mortgages.
We don't tend to offer like. So the longest fixed rate you tended to offer was 5 years, but the rate
Hmm.
tended to not be a great rate at that time. So I've always locked it for 2 to 3 years, which was kind of a compromise.
Oh,
You
no, no, no.
there's
We
like
we do it at
20-year
the
fixes as
beginning.
well.
Like when you
Yeah,
sign the mortgage, that's it.
so we fix the length, but we don't fix the rate.
Oh,
So
yeah, for us it's both are usually fixed, and then if someone's offering you something else,
Yeah.
it's usually weird. And it was the adjustable rate
Mm.
ones that had a
So
problem where it was like no
yeah,
one
so
fixed it,
so
so it
I
was
have
weird.
been non-adjustable, but I do tend to fix because it just,
Yeah, yeah, you just want to.
Anyway, so the adjustable
So
was anyway. So when it comes to fixing next, my mortgage is going to go up probably by about £250,
hmm,
which is a shit ton of money,
that is a
you
pain in the
know.
butt.
Considering I've also got to pay for my gas and I've got to pay for the supermarket bills which keep coming. And anyway, where was I with this? The IKEA furniture.
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah. I was
it's
gonna.
built.
While
So
we talk about this, hold on. Did you have a presentation to send me?
I sent it to you at your. I hope it sent it to you. Otherwise, someone else has got a
No.
really weird presentation sent to
Oh,
them.
hold on. I have to
A
remember.
presentation in American. I sent it to
How do
your
I?
Gmail.
No, I need to get rid of you.
Someone needs to be. Oh, thank you, moderator. That's you, Dave.
I'm the moderator. I'm the
I'm the
powerful one
moderator.
now. Or what is this? You sent it to Gmail. Where is it?
Yeah.
It's not. It's in my other Gmail, I guess. Where's that? Let's find it.
Anyway, so all of this stuff hopefully was going to go into the wardrobe
Here we go. I'm
next
downloading
week.
this presentation.
But the problem is once you start a pile of junk, it attracts more junk magically. So then once I've moved all my clothes into the wardrobe, I'm going to have to handle, troubleshoot a bunch of junk which has been attracted to the junk.
Okay, so here we go. And what I'd like to do, I'm going to put this into a presentation mode. I'm sorry, I'm hustling a little bit past your.
Yeah. So
Um,
I intro myself. So I did this is a presentation that I did in 2018, which is a long, long time ago, and it's about Suji. And I was thinking, maybe people here would like to know more about Suji. So I
yes.
was thinking we could kind of half go over it, half fix it as we go along.
I
Because
don't
I
want
have
to use.
strong opinions about Suji.
I want it to present in a window and not use a whole monitor because I don't want to have to like
Oh,
dedicate
that's the
everything.
that's the constant sorrow of.
Yeah, of PowerPoint. Hold on.
Why don't you just like convert it to a PDF
That's
and
weird.
just
Hold on. Hold on.
watch
Hold
it?
on. Okay, here we go. I see. I'm sorry. This is. Here we go.
Hi,
Here we
Yoko.
go. Here we go. And so now when I start it, here we go. We got a window. I can go back and forth on it, and I can share it with you in just 1 second, which I'm about to do. So
Oh
give
yeah,
me
I
one
should know what
moment.
I'm looking at, shouldn't I?
Yeah, and I will get this ready for you. We are going to do a window capture of our PowerPoint. Yeah, look at that. And then there's one more thing I want to do.
Just had some more chipas and the sea fleshy pickle.
Filters and
Well done, Kaya. No. This is the start of the luck. Everyone knows that the luck begins, and then you're on this crazy train where you're just like you can't do anything wrong, and you think you're really until the point where you think you're really, really good at mahjong, and you finally figured out this game, and then mahjong comes and slaps you back down again.
that's true. That is exactly how it happens, which is always so a little depressing. But
I
like
think
it
you
is.
should never play Soul. That's my answer.
Oh wow. Oh wow. Back in the stream.
Come on. No, do you know what? I reminded myself recently. I went back and played some of the audio files from those characters,
Okay, here we
and I
go.
was like, oh.
All right,
So,
here we go. We got Gemma's presentation, all
yay.
about Suji.
And I've obviously chosen. Have you shared it with me? Or just
No,
sharing
but
it? Okay. Well,
you
just,
have the
I just use
slides.
I
Just
use the
just tell
Twitch
me
link
when to
here.
go to the next slide. I'm on
Okay.
slide 1, so tell me where to go.
Yeah. Well, obviously, I'd like to point out that I used a template presentation with
Don't
PowerPoint. It's
tell
not a
them
very.
that.
It's not a very good one. That's why I'm looking at it. I'm like, why would you even design this
You did all the
terrible
graphic
template?
design yourself.
I don't know who did this graphic design. Some like
In terms
16-year-old.
in terms of
Yes, you should.
streaming, I
You
mean,
should
yeah.
stream. You should stream and play mahjong. That's for sure.
Yeah, if you want to play Mahjong and stream it, go ahead. We usually encourage
Yes.
people to do that. It's always fun. All right, so we
No.
got slide 1. So
Next
tell me
slide.
to
No, bye.
keep.
Yeah. No.
Oh
No.
my
No.
god,
Let's
this
stay on here.
blinks.
Let's linger on this slide first
Why is
because I
this
need to
blinking at me?
caveat why Suji can be problematic when
Here
people
we
are
go.
taught it in the beginning. I feel like.
Oh, here we go. This little button.
Oh no, this is good. Yeah, no, this is good. So
Okay,
so I wish I really
slide
wish
2.
I did. No, go slide 2. The slide 2 is
When
fine.
can we use Suji? What is this slide?
Yeah. So
All right.
I think so the problem is Suji is the first and sometimes the only defensive kind
Mm.
of discard reading that anyone has ever taught. It's certainly the first. And I think the problem with teaching Suji at the beginning, you learn your 147, your 258, etc. So the problem with that is they're never taught when they should apply it. So like there's a discard pool, just start reading, using your suji to read out of it. And I'm going to tell you now, I think that's going to be a bad time for you. The first thing you want to focus on is learning to get an idea of whether your opponent is in a regular hand progression towards pinfu. Suji only really
Mm.
works for two-sided weights, and two-sided weights are usually pinfu.
I
So,
mean, I feel like I generally want to get to a two-sided weight no matter what I'm doing, but I would say, yeah, if I'm going for pinfu, I will assuredly have it, and that's the broadest path.
yeah. So you want to be looking at the discard pool, and I wish I put an example, but what I'm going to suggest to you is that you actually go through your own play logs, because it'll probably stick in your mind if you use your own play logs and you see where you've got to tenpai on pinfield, or an opponent's got to tenpai on pinfield even, and then screen cap that. That will give you, and then if you do that a few times, that'll give you kind of a small little library, a small little reference to kind of go, okay, well, how did that happen? Okay, so yeah, so 50% of hands on 10 are two-sided weights, in which case your Suji is great. I still think that Suji is best if you're doing a pinfu. That's where it really, really comes into its own. So when I say like it's a regular discard pool, you're going to be seeing your terminals and your honors first, and then you're going to start seeing your 2s and your 8s and your 3s and your 7s, and then you'll start seeing your middle tiles, right? Things that tell you that it's not a regular discard pool are conspicuous absence of one suit. You want to be starting to think of or your honors coming out suspiciously late. What makes an honor coming out suspiciously late? Let's say that someone has dropped it early, and then you don't see that one out until like 5, and it's come out of their hand. Obviously, if it's just a draw discard, then it's no information. But let's say they wait until 5, and then they decide to take it out of their hand.
Yeah, like if I mean, an example would be like if I'm East and my discards are like 1, 2, 5, 7 North.
Yeah.
And those all came from my hand. Like obviously, I drew it and discarded this, but if those all came from inside my hand, you can be like, "What? Wait a minute! Like, why were you holding this North for so long?"
Exactly. The other things that to suggest to you that this is not a regular discard pool are if someone throws a pair of tiles out from their hand, suggest that something's going on. They might be shifting. They might be shifting so they can get a Yaku in. They might have too many little groups. Or again, if they like throw out like a 4-5, like things that could have been a proto run, you want to start getting suspicious that this person's not going for a regular two-sided pinfu hand. In which case, you cannot use Suji. Suji is super dangerous.
I see your thought. I'm going to talk about my thoughts about Sushi far later. I want you to do your presentation.
Okay.
I have. They're not opposed. I have like parallel.
I see. I know a lot of people say, "Oh, Suji doesn't work. Suji is not effective," and I think the problem is that that's incorrect. Suji is just an observation of how patterns form on the discard pool. So it can't be incorrect as such. It can be that people are applying what I like to call a tool in the incorrect situations. Okay, let's go to the next slide. I don't even remember what the next slide looks like now.
And I'll twist the slide thing. Here we go. Safety Suji.
Safety Suji, right. So Safety Suji is the Suji we all, everyone gets to the next one, next one. God, this is a terrible template that I used here.
Well, it's fine if you're doing it. It's a little rough when you have to make me do the flipping.
No, as in like I hate this blue kind of like paint split. Okay, so Mote Suji is front-facing Suji, or front Suji, I know. But this is what people tend to say. When they say Suji, this is what they're talking about. This is and let me point out that is the central one, not the shoulder one. So it's the 4, the 5, and the 6.
Is the central.
Yeah, it's the 4, 5, and 6, right? And then, so if someone's thrown a 4, the 1 and the 7 are probably safe. Yeah?
Yeah.
So this is, and this kind of forms the backbone to all of the Suji reads. But this Suji helps you find what is safe. All the other Suji only tell you what is more dangerous.
Now, something I'm going to observe here is that for the 4 and the 6, I feel like, so again, I usually think of this as like things you can eliminate. If I have a 4 in the discards, I feel like the 1 is safer than the 7. And if I have a 6 in the discards, I feel like a 9 is safer than the 3. And that's because, the 7 could be used in, the 4-7 weighted would have 5-6 waiting on 4 and 7, but there could also be 8-9 waiting on 7. Well, with the 1, the only sequence weight for the 1 is the 1-4 weight.
Yeah.
I can still be waiting for a pair of 3 kind of. Yes, those are still options. But like, so I feel like of those of 4 and 6, actually, the 1 and the 9 are still even safer than their counterparts, the 3 and the 7, because they have slightly less ways you could possibly be waiting for them outside of that 2-sided weight that we've ruled out because of the Suji.
Yeah, that's perfectly correct. And obviously this is all like hugely contextual based, but it tends to be that the outer tiles tend to be safer just because they can be absorbed by fewer tiles in other people's hands. Right, next slide. Let's see where I haven't looked at this. I haven't looked at this for like 4 or 5 years.
We're rediscovering.
Yeah. Okay. So this is the same sort of like what is what can I define as safe? And this is where you use those shoulder ones, the 1 and the 7, to work out the 4 is safe. Again, it's a flip of the one we just looked at, and I always think you should be cautious of this.
Oh yeah.
Because this is where I see people go, oh, I can see a 7, so therefore the 4 must be safe.
It's like, no.
I mean, if you saw a 7 and you wanted to try throwing a 1 because you thought it might be safe for various other reasons, then you might decide the 4 is safe after you've seen the 1 go past.
Yeah, once you've seen both of them, you've at least locked out the two-sided weights that could include that tile. But yeah, if you see just 1,
it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't tell you anything. And I see people go, "Wow, I think," but it's.
I guess it's better than nothing. Again, I usually think sometimes it's like, okay, well, if all of my tiles are completely dangerous, but I have a Nakasuji, like that gives me some small, it's like a little better maybe.
I mean, again, it kind of probably depends on at what point it was thrown. Because of course, if you had, let's say, you had a 2-3, and then you had a 7 out on its own, you're going to throw the 7 fairly early, right? So if you try to read the Suji on that, second discard 7, it's going to be bad times for you.
Yeah, because it was discarded because it was isolated, which means it doesn't really mean anything. Other than that you don't have the 4-7 weight, which, okay, good to know.
Precisely. So there's this kind of idea that, the closer you get to a reach, or to the tile where you become Tempai, the closer your discards reflect what's in your hand.
Makes sense.
If let's say that you had a 2-2-3, then you'd throw out the 2, right? That's more close to what you've got in your hand. But if you had a 2-2-3 and a 7, you'd throw out the 7 quite early, and then the 2 might come out only for your reach.
Yeah.
Okay, next slide. Let's see what I did next.
Kata Suji, shoulder Suji.
Yeah, okay. So these are all like, I think these are all lumped into Suji, right?
How is this different from Naka Suji?
It's not really, but they've all got different names. So the Naka Suji is your 4, the Kata Suji, your shoulder Suji are the ones on the side, right?
So, I'm sorry, I'm going to go back a slide. So we had Omote Suji is the 4 with the 1 and the 7. That's I see a 4, and I assume 1 and 7 are safe. Nakasuji is I see a 1 or a 7, and I assume the 4 is safe.
Oh, so a 1 and a 7.
Oh, a 1 and... Oh, okay. So in the Nakasuji situation, I can see both.
Yeah.
And, okay, I see. And now, these Katasuji are... I can only see 1. And I'm going to try to assume that, like, the next tile over in the chain is safer, I hope. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, and this is where it's like, yes, the safety drops dramatically. I would not recommend you ever do this. But I see people do it all the time. They're on the spot, and they maybe because they don't have, they don't have confidence in their ability to read the discard pool, and they want to stick to a theory. And in some ways, theory protects you, right? Because when you throw it and someone goes and then you go, oh well, it was Suji, so I thought it'd be safe, and everyone's like, oh yeah, that seems reasonable. And I would challenge that. I think that's not a reasonable thing to do.
It's a risky thing to do. There's got to be some reason, but it's definitely a risky thing to do.
But I think this is what people, when what concerns me is I see a lot of people, they have a hand they probably shouldn't be pushing anyway, and they get, they can see a 1 in the discard pool, they draw the 4, and they think, I can see the 1, only the 1, and I'll throw the 4. because it's going to be safer. And I'm like, it's really not that safe unless
Yeah, no, that's not
unless
going
you
to
had
help
something
you.
worth pushing. If you had
Right.
something worth pushing, well then there's
But
another conversation.
to some degree, if you have something worth pushing, then you're. I mean, I don't like using the term excuse. Your justification is I'm pushing.
Hmm.
Like this is worth pushing. Yeah. Like if I'm again, if I'm tempai on Kokshi, I'm
Hmm.
pushing.
Hmm.
My discard is it's going. It doesn't matter. And so that and you can look at that and say yes, it makes sense to push that, even if it was a
Yeah.
risky tile, unless something. I was in an interesting situation on Friday actually in a game, but we'll talk about that later. Go through all this.
Okay, so I see what the next slide looks like.
When is Suji not safe?
Depends who you're playing with. So yeah, this is the common problem I think as well. I think that Suji, for a vast amount of the Western player base, has been a
Oh.
good theory because Western players are really attached to the two-sided weight, really
Hmm.
attached, and so if they've got a choice, they'll go into a two-sided weight. Um, and the other thing as well is that someone, and this I get really probably angrier than I should, is that someone has a 1-3-5 and they'll throw the five, and then people will call it a Suji trap. It's not. This is not. If you throw the five and reach on that five, that is not a Suji trap. It is really common to have this kind of shape. Really,
I
really
mean,
common.
so let me counter question then. What
Yeah.
is a Suji trap? Let's see if we can define a Suji trap.
So I would say you can make Suji traps, but they tend to be that you've thrown an early tile, right?
So it'd be more like I
So
throw a one, and then
so
I
if you've
throw a
thrown if you
seven, and then I have a close weight on the four.
yeah, so or if you yeah exactly, or if you threw the five early, let's say that you were going for 1-2-3 sound shoku here, you could create a Suji trap by throwing the five early.
Hmm.
And then someone could quite reasonably say, well, they threw a five really early.
So they probably have nothing around there. They probably don't care about it at all. But actually, I
Exactly.
had this shape, and so I took a risk. I slimmed this
Yeah.
shape down early. I cut one of the possible tiles that could complete it because I decided it's going to be
Mm-hmm.
1, 2, 3 Sanchoku, so I don't even want that
Mm-hmm.
four if I get it.
Mm-hmm. And
Um,
I'll probably come back to this later as well. I do
yeah.
also just want to add like a big kind of if, depending where the Dora is, all of this
Hmm.
changes again. Like Dora creates like these ripples, which mean that your theory is impacted, right? Especially if
Hmm.
you're playing with red fives, and this is why red fives can, if you're a regular red five player, it really does impact the way you're treating your suits because you will naturally default to pulling your weights into the middle, right? So you can absorb red fives.
Yeah. No one wants to be forced to throw a red five. That's like the worst.
Exactly. And of course the Dora changes each game, so you need to start thinking, well,
Yeah.
how are people going to behave different? But that's
Actually
that's just a
really like
caveat.
about Dora is how the different Dora pull value to different points in your hand and in the suits. And there's so
Ooh,
much.
sorry.
It really has a much bigger. Like at first, you're just like, oh, it's a magical lucky tile, whatever. And then like as you play more and more and more, you see how that actually has a huge impact on how you shape your hand to
Mm.
make sure you can work with the Dora in particular situations.
So now when I teach theory, defensive kind of tile discard reading, I don't tend to teach Suji at all first. I teach Kabe or the wall because I think Kabe is more reliable and it's easier for people to kind of understand. If they play cards of any description, Kabe is a really easy concept to kind of
Yes,
get your head
Kabe
around.
is
And it's
great.
and it's more effective. If you've got a Kabe, like just don't worry about Suji. But you can combine the
Oh
Kabe
no.
and the Suji theories to really get yourself a safe tile.
So
So if
let's
we go to the
see.
next tile, yeah. Next tile, next
Kabe.
slide. Yeah, next
Cabe.
slide.
What's a cabe?
Cave. What's a cave?
Cabe.
Yeah. So I think so I'm gonna ask you, Dave,
Hmm.
like I'm gonna tell you how I when I'm playing properly and I'm really focusing and I'm not chatting people on Twitch and stuff.
What?
So when I'm playing, like I can't count precisely how many tiles have come out because I'm not a miracle man. However, I have an image in my head of the suits, and as more of that particular tile comes out, I've got them in a line in my mind. That tile starts to fade, right,
Hmm.
until it no longer exists. The more of them I can see, well then, so if you can see, for example, here, if you can see four threes, then there's a kabe or a wall has been formed, right?
Right.
Which means that the 1 and the 2 are very unlikely to be, people to be waiting on them unless they're waiting on
Yeah.
a pawn or something. And again, if someone say, "Oh, how do you know if they're waiting on a pawn?" I can't tell you for sure they're ever waiting on a pawn.
Yeah.
However,
You
let's say
just
they've
don't.
already opened up their hand for something.
Well, if they, I guess if they're waiting on a pawn if you can't see all 4 of those tiles. Like if there are at least 2 tiles that you can't see, all
Mm.
right, they could have them.
Mm.
Yeah, and if they haven't guaranteed that pawn makes it impossible for their hand to have value,
Mm.
like if we've done 3 calls for what's pretty clearly a Tanyao, they
Yeah,
can't. They probably are not waiting on like a 1
and
or a
they're not.
9.
Yeah, exactly,
So like
exactly.
you can do that, but like otherwise, yeah, those pawn weights, pair weights, just hard to read. They're just
Yeah,
difficult, and that's kind of what makes them valuable and cool,
yeah.
but
But let's
harder to
say that,
finish.
even if if you can see 4 3s, you know that if that 5 is in the discard pool, and you can see 4 3s, you don't have to worry about the 2. There's it's unless they're waiting for a group of them, it's not possible. Um, and I think this is a much more effective and much more useful way to divine your save tiles. And what is also very exciting about it is, as it says here, it gives you privileged information only available to yourself. Let's say you've got a concealed triple and you can see 1 out in the discard pool. So if I can see 3, I've got 3 7s, they're concealed, and I can see 1. There's only I know that
Yeah.
the 8s and 9s are dead, which gives me an advantage going forward. It's another reason where you can make a decision. If someone reaches, you can make a decision. Well, I don't have to play this. All these other people don't have this information.
Yeah. This
Um,
is one of the things, to go to one of Dave's favorite topics, calling a con.
I was waiting for this.
This is one of the things you give up, and it's again in terms of the pro and con of calling a con, because I don't need to just harp on my never con shtick again. Let's be more even handed, right? The thing
Mm,
you give up when you call that con is information,
mm.
is the knowledge, and if it's a wind, then
Yes,
you've mostly given up 3 guaranteed safe tiles, which maybe you do or don't want, but you really haven't given too much insane information because it is still
exactly.
an isolated tile. But if I have 3 5-mans in my hand and the 4th 5-man gets thrown, I should be giggling to myself, tee hee hee, because
Hmm.
I know that 5-man is never coming.
Yeah,
Anyone else at the table who's sitting there being like, I sure hope I draw a 5-man. Ugh, 1's out, but there's still 3 more. And this is the situation you love to be in Mahjong if you can. You're sitting there and you know what's going on, and everyone else has effectively wrecked their hands because they're waiting for something that'll never come, or they're like forced to be safe because you've pressured the table. Like another time this happens. So when you con, you get the positive parts of con for yourself, which again, sometimes that's an awesome plan, and I'm not going to say that it's never good, but you're giving this information out to everyone now.
mm,
Everyone now knows they have to reconfigure their hand around the fact that this tile will never show up, and you're allowing them to advance. The final time it's good is when it's dealing dragons and live wins.
mm.
Like if everyone's sitting there with 1 HOTS in their hand and it's late in the game, you at least know that everyone else is tripping over it. They're hampered. They're stuck. They can't move
Yeah,
forward. When you throw it out and you make it safe and you let everyone else get rid of it, everyone now gets to move forward. And again, sometimes you want to do that because you're moving forward. So we all,
mm.
I got to go. It's happening. But be aware that that's the trade-off you're making. You're loosing other players to let them keep going, as opposed to
Yeah.
holding the information to yourself.
And this is the big step really from a beginner to an intermediate player. Maybe other beginner players aren't quite like this, but I think often beginner players treat their hand as if it's in a vacuum.
Hmm.
And their discards are in a vacuum because they have to, like there's a lot going on, and they're learning to build Yaku and stuff like that. But if you really want to push yourself into the intermediate, it's not, you start need to seeing how you're not in a vacuum, and then to the advanced is starting to think, well, if I discard this tile, how does that impact everyone else's progress? Does it push them forward? Does it pull them back? And all of this other kind of, and that's where the real game in Riichi Mahjong lies.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. Like when you're starting
Mm.
out, focusing on your own hand is really what you should be doing.
Mm.
Just learn to build the hand, learn to mechanically make it work, learn some tile efficiency, learn to go from A to ready decently. But
Yeah,
then once you've got that,
yeah,
just as I encourage people, I encourage beginners to be like, pick a Yaku and just make that Yaku every time, to practice it, to get a feel for how it
mm.
works. I'd
Mm.
almost encourage intermediate players to pick a hand, to take your hand and assume that this is not a hand you are winning.
Mm-hmm.
This is a collection of 13 tiles you are keeping out of the game from everyone else. You are a mean person. I am holding these tiles away from people who might want them. what can I do to best, what do I want to hold on to the most that other people might need, but I'm going to keep away from them. And then you start balancing those two views. How do I hold what people want while building towards something good?
Yeah. And I guess if you are a beginner and you're watching this and you're thinking, oh no, like I'm just looking at my hand in the vacuum. Well, we're not saying like, oh, that's a problem. What I'm saying
No,
to you
that's
is that
fine.
these people who can read and who are doing really, really like high level stuff, M leaguers and stuff, they're not actually wizards, or they can't see into your mind. It is just everyone goes through the same standard progress. The problem for Westerners is that we don't have an environment which is assisting us with that progress currently. And I hope, but I think we're really
Well,
moving. Like I see where we
oh
were
yeah.
like 10 years ago, and like geez,
Oh
we were
God,
bad. All of us were bad. It's not like, oh, you were all bad. We were all bad as a
I also
collective.
was bad.
And but as the community moves forward and as we share this information and as we talk about theory, everyone is improving. And yeah, I used to be
For
able to
sure.
win really easily. Now I cannot win really
Oh
easily.
yeah, I mean, I remember way long ago. It used to be just like I know some tile efficiency, and most of these people don't. So I'll just get ready faster every time and win and win and win because no one can
Yeah,
like keep up with it. And that's kind of like basic level skill gap. And now like no, there's plenty of people who are very good at
yeah,
tile efficiency. There's no I'm no specialist there. So like it becomes much more about higher level constructs. And I mean I wouldn't say we're in an environment where there's nothing we can do, but we are in this brute force environment where we get better by just playing a lot and just like trying to figure it out and climb as opposed to having like mentors who
yeah.
are incredibly top tier, although they're excellent players nonetheless. Anyway, we can move
There
forward
are
from
there are
Kabe.
plenty of very excellent players, yes. But anyway, let's go move forward. Let's see what's.
Kabe Origin. Oh, this is the same thing. You're talking about this.
Oh, did I? Oh.
Yeah, let's see. You can say all four pins.
Right.
Your opponent
Okay.
can't have the 3 4 4
Yeah.
5.
So, and I think depending on how you see things, how you visualize, like I'm a very visual person, so I imagine all of the three suits in my mind, and they sort of fade away as more of them are visible to me.
Hmm.
So then I don't have to be counting. Oh, I can see three threes. My brain already has an idea that the three is faded or gone, and then I might do a double check. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
I don't know if have is that
I
Dave.
think
You
everyone
might think in a
visualizes it a
totally
little
different way.
differently.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what I'm saying. I know some people who are a lot more mathematical. Maybe there's lots of people coding backgrounds around here, right? And they probably think about it in a sort of more number. You know, I,
Yeah, but you might still
maybe they
visualize it
just
the
hold
same way. You
information.
have like you have all the things, you know how many are left of each thing. You get a feel for
Yeah,
it. These visualizations are things that could be very interesting to overlay on existing games.
and
Um,
and one thing I will say is if you're struggling to sort of recall what's been thrown or what's
hmm,
been happened, like if I'm playing online, I don't do this in real life, but if I'm playing online, and playing online's a struggle to sort of concentrate anyway, isn't it? I call out each discard. Every single discard that happens, I just say it to myself.
mm,
So, 2 pin, red dragon, green dragon, 8 pin. And then just to sort of keep my mind in it, so my mind, if you have that sort of that vocalization and that, I think your brain starts to click into what you are asking it to do. Whereas, when you're playing online, you've got your window open, you're chatting on Discord, the Amazon delivery man comes. It can be really difficult to do that, which is why I recommend if you're having a struggle, just try that trick. If it works for you, great. If it doesn't, I
mm.
apologize.
Everyone has a different way to focus. I think but like repeating things out loud or writing things down, these are all general like study techniques. I think that help you
Yeah.
focus on whatever you're doing in general.
Hmm.
All right,
Okay, next
so
slide.
go forward.
This
We're
slide.
done with Kabe Origin. Kabe defensive strength. Kabe and these tiles are effective on edge weights. Oh, I see. 2, 3, 7, and 8. If you can see all four of those,
Mm.
it's especially good.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
I think
yeah.
yeah.
So the problem with, obviously the 4, 5, and the 6. Yeah.
There's
If you
so
can
many
see,
ways to use them that there's like yeah, because if I see all the four, I think you mentioned earlier, like the
yeah.
6 is not safe because there's still the whole 6 9 weight zone, even if
Yeah.
the 4 5 can't be.
Yeah.
Um,
So yeah, I mean, and I probably put this in here because another suggestion I always have to people who are struggling with keeping all this information in your head is don't even attempt to. Like it's impossible, right? So when you're trying to read people's discards, if they're progressing in a regular way, as I said, the terminals, the honors, and then maybe a 7 comes out and a 2, you don't clock their tiles. It's not a problem. However, if someone does a red dragon and a 2, and then suddenly a 5 comes out, then I want you to be like, okay, that one came from their hand. That's an important piece of information for me. Just don't bother remembering anything else. And the same with Kabe, right? If you're looking for it, you only really want to concentrate on the 2, the 3, the 7, and 8.
hmm,
So then that reduces
your
by
false
5
signal.
tiles. Yeah. stuff you don't even have to pay attention to.
Yeah.
And you can build that in slowly, but if you can start to build those sort of pillars of, oh, actually, I can keep this information in my head, the other information will just sort of like my mess. It'll just start accumulating around the information that you've gathered.
Yeah, you'll get a feel for it. You'll kind of naturally, I think, expand your vision a little bit, and that's usually how I describe it too. Like your vision starts off really on your hand. I'm looking at my hand, and then slowly your vision expands to include other things on the table that you can then
And this might be why
soak in.
people sort of, teach Suji first, um, because it's an easier one to teach, right?
Hmm.
I think Kabe people have struggled with. I don't particularly know why, but I think maybe it feels less easy, like a theory that you can just teach in 20 minutes, right? Um, so maybe that's. But then Kabe I think is more important. So don't do Suji for the next week. Just only do Kabe.
Only Cafe.
See
Only
how it
Cabe.
goes for you.
Cabe forever.
Only Cabe. Only Cabe.
All right, we're
Sounds like a food stuff,
It
right?
sounds delicious.
Cabe.
We got the
Yeah, like
risks of.
some
Oh, we're
sort
talking
of
about the risks
cabbage
of Omote
base.
Suji.
I learned for books they never covered Suji, huh? Yes. I don't know why I put the risks. Probably because we're going to go to the other two Suji, which I think are way more effective, personally.
Okay. So what do we got? We got reading. We got reading for danger.
Yes. So, and this I think it's really difficult for people unless you're playing completely safe, unless you're only discarding the tiles that person has dropped. You are not playing safe, right? However,
Yes.
you can work out what is more dangerous, so you definitely don't throw that one, right? Um, and yeah, several prominent players deny its usefulness.
Uh oh. Uh oh.
I think that's gone away. I think at the time I wrote this, there was definitely a little bit of a kind of trend in mahjong strategy books to deny that the other suji exist, and it's just not true. It may be that they're less effective in the environment you're playing in, but I can almost guarantee you, in the environment that most of us Westerners are playing in, I think that these are going to be super effective for you.
Hmm.
So this is so when you're reading for danger, you've already if you're really folding, just fold, just throw your safe tiles. Don't worry. However, what happens if you get stuck in a situation where you have no safe tiles? That's where these might be useful for you. Then you can know, well, this one is definitely dangerous. These are, let's see how we go with
And
the others.
and don't forget Dave's constant warning about folding, which is commit.
Mm-hmm.
Commit. If you're gonna fold, if you have made the call that you are out, don't noodle around. Don't go from like I'm folding to like, yeah, but if I maybe no. Look, you can make three calls when you're in danger. You can say, I'm pushing, and then you push. You can
Mm-hmm.
say, I want to see if I can hold on to this, and you can choose to noodle. You can say, I'm gonna Mawase, right? It's Mawase, is it?
Mm-hmm.
You can say, okay, I'm gonna see if
Wow.
I can massage this around,
Mm.
and I'm not gonna totally fold, or you're gonna say, this is not going anywhere. I am folding. If you choose to push, well, we can push as safely as we can, but you're pushing. That's fine. You've decided you're going to follow that strategy. Maybe next time you learn something that says maybe I don't choose to push in that situation. If you're going to noodle, you can use some of these techniques, especially to try to noodle in a way that's like less
I do
dangerous.
I do love the term noodle
You're
though.
noodling,
I
really.
just feel that you're like noodle noodle,
Yeah, well,
and
that's the point,
but
right? You're
you're
like,
like a
well,
really soggy noodle, and you may just break at any
oh, I had a
point.
whole bunch of hands. We played a bunch on Friday. I had a whole bunch of hands where it's like, okay, I have this one tile I know I can never throw, but the rest of this is so good that I might, like, maybe it'll become safe. Maybe so I
Yeah.
noodled, which is a fine pick. But if you're gonna fold, if you say I'm folding, do it. Tear your hand apart. Don't look back. Do it.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Anyway, that's
Well,
that's
next slide, please, Dave.
Dave's mini rants. Ura
Yes,
Suji.
please. Okay, so how did I translate this? I didn't translate
You
it. So
didn't.
I
You
think
just
I
said
used
Ura
to
Suji.
translate it as back suji.
Back Suji.
I'm
Yeah.
going to change that to reverse suji. If I didn't translate it as reverse suji, I'm definitely doing reverse suji now.
Uh huh. Okay.
So this
So
is this is an early to mid game discards, and this is so early to mid game. I tend to think. Oh God, I'm trying to think now. I mean, mid game is where mid game is. That's halfway along the second row, right?
yeah,
So anything before that, I think reverse suji
it's
is
first
an
9 or 10
effective read.
discards.
Yeah, but the earlier it comes out, the more effective it is.
Mm.
Yeah. So as you've got here, you've got 2, 4, 5. You're going to throw your 2, right? Because there's
Yeah.
no loss to you. Well, there's a little loss, but there's less loss. than
Yeah,
than I would
if
think,
I have a
right?
2-4 shape in my hand to begin with, and I draw the 5, I'm going to prune the 2. And
Exactly.
one thing I'll note that I find I do a lot, which is maybe not so good, is I will immediately prune that 2 immediately upon drawing the 5. I don't know if this matters that much, but it's like I always wonder if there's some badness in the fact that like I got a 5, the 5 interacts with this set. I'm going to immediately prune this set to do it when I could be doing something else. I don't know if
Unsure.
that matters.
I'd like to see some examples because, of course, it's difficult without the other context, right? Like if you are playing just straightforward efficient, yeah, that's what you do.
Yeah, I guess that makes
If
sense. It's the
if
minimum.
there's other things going
It's like let's
on,
say I still
then
have 2 or 3 shrapnel wins, right? Like
yeah,
maybe I don't throw the 2. I don't know.
yeah.
This
So
separate.
even in an environment like Japan, where I say they're not quite so obsessed with two-sided weights as we are. Um, that this is still a regular progression. Like there's no
Oh yeah,
reason you wouldn't go for a two.
it's
Like this
just a
is just
better shape.
efficiency. This is your tile efficiency, right? So you're going to throw the 2, and this is why I'm like people say, "Oh, Ursa doesn't exist." I'm like, how can it not exist? Because this is your by saying it doesn't exist, you're saying that people would not throw the 2 out. Now people might throw the 5 out because they're doing again a sand shocker or
Yeah, I
something
need
else.
2, 3, 4 for
But then
Sanshoku.
you've detached yourself from the regular progression anyway.
Mm,
You're not there's that player is not playing efficiently.
right,
So
right.
they may be slowing themselves down for a reason, but that they're taking a hit from that. That's a trade off for them.
Mm,
Okay, see the next slide. And the next slide.
right. Suji, notice how often 5 shows up.
Mm-hmm.
So a 1. Oh, I see. So you would throw the 1 if you have a 3-4 shape.
Mm-hmm.
You'd throw the 2 if you have the 4-5 shape. You throw the
Yeah,
3 if you have the 5-6 shape. You throw the 4 if you have the 6-7
yeah.
shape. The 5 is, yeah, I see what you're saying about the 5, because you throw the 5 out of the 2-3 shape
Mm-hmm.
for the 1-4
Mm-hmm.
and the 7-8 shape for the 6-9. So a 5 is, I've always thought this, a 5 is a very strong discard in a way. When I say
That's
strong, I mean
exactly,
meaningful. It's a big deal. It's a big deal discard because you've eliminated a whole bunch of
exactly.
things and you've indicated a whole bunch of things.
It gives you a lot of information, and this is in comparison to the front suji, the emote suji, where we tend to, as I said, you throw a 4 and you start working out. Your information is given about the sides.
Keep in mind, I think this diagram is a little reversed from the previous diagrams, right? So
It
we're
is,
saying if
yeah.
you throw a 1, it is more dangerous, or it is more probable that you might have. Or, okay, let me rephrase something.
Mm.
Throwing a 1 indicates that you might be cutting a 1 from a 1-3-4 shape.
Yeah,
If you're cutting a 1 from the 1-3-4 shape, that means 2 and 5 are now more dangerous, as opposed to in the previous diagrams are like, this is what this implies might not be dangerous. But
yeah.
this on the right is what it implies might be dangerous,
Yes.
because those might be the shapes that you're cutting in
Yeah, well,
favor
this
of.
is this is the difference. This is the danger suji, not the
Right,
safety suji, right?
right.
So and yeah, and you look at how many tiles become dangerous if you throw a 5. That's a lot of information. If you're sat there and you're not sure what to throw, and you can see someone's thrown a 5, well, now
Just stay away from that suit, basically. Like,
I mean, not necessarily, but let's say you've only got that suit.
hmm.
You've now given yourself just a little bit more advantage in working out what's next. If you could have said you could combine it with the other types of suji.
Yeah, start throwing a
So if you
2.
go to the next one, this is probably, and this is where, so Ura and is it Matagi
Ida
next one?
Yon Ken.
Oh no, God, I hate Ida Yonken. I'm not sure I can do it anymore.
Ida Yon Ken. What?
Yeah, so
Explain.
double Ura. So I hate Ida Yonken.
Explain Ida Yon Ken. This is interesting.
Yeah,
There
so
are
if you
4 tiles between 2
so
discards.
basically, if you go back to the previous one, right? So it's
Oh,
probably
well,
they
Yon
call it
Ken.
ID on Ken, and I hate it because I'm just not entirely sure we ever needed to do it this way. So basically, it's where they double up, right? So the 1 and the 6, both 2 and 5 are dangerous, right? The 2
Right.
and the 7, both the 3 and the 6 are dangerous. The 3 and the 8, both the 4 and 7
4,
are dangerous. And
7, and
4,
5,
yeah,
8.
yeah,
They
yeah.
all have
Okay.
specific things they indicate.
Yeah. So ID Yonken for it just means that I can see the 1 and the 6, which means the
Mm.
2 and the 5 are so dangerous.
Oh, okay, I see. So it's almost as if I had 1, 3, 4, 6,
Yeah.
and I cut down the 1, and I cut down the 6. So
Ooh.
that implies that so if I see the 1 and the 6, the 3-4 weight is dangerous. The
Yeah.
3-4 incomplete set is dangerous. If I have the 2 and the 7,
Yeah.
the 4-5 incomplete set is dangerous.
Yeah.
Because I cut off both potentially one-off edges from that set as I settled in on that being my final configuration.
Our audience are being very quiet today. I'm very
I
worried
know,
now,
I know. Well, it's an
especially if
off-day
IDEON.
stream too, so
So
it's possible.
yeah, true. ID Yonken basically means that there's a gap of 4 tiles in between. So between 1 and 6, there's 2, 3, 4, 5, and maybe that helps people remember. Maybe that's how people remember that if I see 1 and a 6, 2 and 5 dangerous. That doesn't help me at all. For me, I prefer just learning the Urasuji table, and if I see 2 of them, I like to call it double Urasuji. That means it's really dangerous, right? I'm just combining the reads from both of those tiles to understand what's going on. Yeah?
Right.
But in Japan, if you were to do the strategy, they just call it ID Yonkan, and they kind of teach it as a separate sort of strategy thing. So
I'm glad this is educational for everyone. This is also some stuff I don't know. Oh, well, hopefully you have a great run when you go. But I'm glad this is
I
stuff
don't
people
know.
are picking up and learning. Because, there's some of this, I mean, I never learned this in a formal way. There's a lot of theory around here.
Yeah, and I feel like this is not a great presentation at the time. I probably worked better, but as I've moved forward in my teaching, I would definitely be redoing this presentation now. Sorry, guys, you got the
Get an old one.
you're
It's an
the test
exclusive.
subjects.
Yeah, it's an
You're the
exclusive
test subjects, and I'm gonna you're getting the beta, and then you're gonna beta, and then
Beta is a
and then I'm
cheap
gonna
car you
improve
buy to
it.
go to work in. Beta is a test. Well, unless we're getting into the manosphere, but we don't. We're actually not very popular manosphere streamers. I got to be honest. We don't do very good with that demo. Yeah, Gemma free trial.
Exactly. So I you know what, I should really improve this presentation and change the graphics in the background, and then maybe I'll just put it on my blog or something.
We could do a new one. We could do a better one.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Next slide. Next slide.
Oh, here's an Ida Yonken example, I think.
Oh, did I do an example? Damn. Why did I do an example for this and nothing else?
All right.
Right,
The
Gemma.
player
What were
across
you
must
thinking?
discard the 3, 4, 5 because they do not care about anything.
What were you thinking here?
Oh, we can expect a master. Gemma, gladly. We could have Gemma as a guest lecturer here in New York. Bring her
Oh,
over. She could do a master class.
I'm trying to. At the moment, I'm not sure you should bring me over because I'm trying to work out what was going through my head.
Yeah. Who did the Ida Yonken here that we should be looking at? Oh man,
Right,
this is really bad without the notes.
I know, right? Let's think. What was I thinking here?
Who's gotta wait?
Prize to anyone who can see it first. Yeah, who's Tempai?
Across
No
is
one's
Tenpai on the 7.
Yeah, right. No, but that's not. Oh, it is regular, I guess, isn't it?
I don't know what's going on here. I don't know how this is. It's got to be an example, but I'm.
There is an
very
example
curious.
here. I should have kept my
Who
notes.
even has
from the
Ida Yonken discards? I feel like the player to
Why
the
is it
right
so
does
small?
not. The player across does. They have the 3 and the 7 man, but they're not. The 4, 5 man isn't there.
Look at these people holding their door, though. I'm so proud of them. I don't know who they are, but I'm so proud of them
They
for
all
holding their
know.
door.
They all know.
They all know. Right, okay. Can't see any 1-6 obvious ones.
Yeah, I don't know. 2, 7, or 3, 7. No, it's a 3, 7 on a cross on you in your discard.
No, just yeah, but it's got to be 2-7. 3-7 is not an idea.
Then we've yeah, then that must be what we're showing. You're right. I'm sorry. I'm just dumb.
Oh, it's us, right?
Yeah, it's us. We have
else.
the 2 and the 7, and that's because we have this 4, 5, 6. So we trimmed it. We're not waiting on it, but we have it.
Yeah.
Because we
and
trimmed it down.
that's and that's probably it's probably why I did it. It segues me nicely to this is why it's only divining the dangerous tiles and not save tiles, because I can't tell you whether they completed that set from these discards.
Right. You can say, oh, they were looking to make it happen. You can say, oh,
stuff was going on there. Yeah, like all I can tell you is there's a little bit of a red area there. If there's a 2-7 and then they throw it through a 6, then we don't have to worry.
That's an interesting one. So question from the audience: does it specifically apply to discards from hand rather than Tsumagiri?
Not for ID Yonken, no.
Not for ID. I was gonna say because ID Yonken really is just if I don't need these tiles, not if I feel like for Urasuji discard from hand is a little more telling.
Well,
because it
yes
implies
and
that
no.
I had
I
it.
see. No, because if you had a 4-5 and you drew a 2, as you said yourself, you'd just throw the 2
I
straight
just throw
out.
the two straight out. Yeah. Okay, so I think these things do work with Sumogiti as well. They don't necessarily apply.
Yeah.
Also,
Yeah.
remember people will sometimes be tricky and do swappy doppies, which Gemma hates. But
I tell you why I hate swappy doppies. I tell you why.
well,
It's
hold on.
because
Let
you're
me just define in case people don't know. The swappy doppy is when I have this hand here with this player. I draw a tile already in my hand, and I discard the, pardon me, I discard the one from my hand as opposed to the one that I took it.
now. I'm not saying that you should never ever do that. However, I think people think it's cleverer than it really is, and also you're telling me that you have tiles in that area. Let's say you threw a 2 and a 7, like you have done,
Hmm.
right? And then you swappy doppy a 5 out. Then I know that you are doing something around there.
Right? Because why is it still in your
Whereas,
hand?
whereas where the 2 is straight out, and then the 7, well, you could have held a 7.
Yeah.
That's pretty
Fifth
regular.
discard. Maybe you had one hanging out, and other worse
Yeah,
things to do.
yeah.
Okay, swappy. Yeah. The
So
old swappy
that's
doppy.
that's what I'm saying. Like, especially if you're playing very good players, you are giving more information than you really have to. Like, you don't need to do that.
It is very likely that Swappy Doppy was made up in my living room at some random time, as was Risky Disky, which is
I'm not sure that
slightly
these are
less of a
patent.
clever
I
term.
don't think you can patent this. I have to be honest. I feel like those skilled in the art would be able to create these terms, Dave.
No, no, it's really very unique. We're the only ones with the wit and charm to do the Risky Disky and the Swappy Doppy. If you drop a tile and then are forced to discard it, you could call that a slip disc.
I know, but the problem with these terms is I always feel like this is the bad porno over each mahjong that is just waiting to be made. And there's already a lot of bad pornos of mahjong.
Oh, it's the bad part is stealing into your own hand.
I have not had enough beer for this
Yeah,
conversation.
yeah. It's all
Next
it's getting
slide,
pretty
Dave. Next slide.
risque. Let's
Do you
move
know what?
on.
This is a really badly organized presentation. There was no way I'd teach anyone this order.
We
And I don't know
apologize.
what I was doing. This
Thank
was
you,
when
Holocaust.
Gemma
We
was a young
appreciate it.
teacher. Matagi Suji. I know, I love Matagi Suji. So I think that I used to call this straddle Suji, but I've now settled on skip Suji.
So this is, if I'm reading this slide right, this is I have 4 4 5, and I'm like, all right, this is silly. I need more space in my hand for other cool stuff. So let's get rid of one
Yeah,
of the fours, and I'm
yeah.
dealing the 4 out of the 4 4 5.
But this is a mid game read, so I would say
Mm.
anything in the second, well, yeah, the mid to second, or it's just the second discard line.
Well, I'm sure there are
You can
mahjong
start
sections.
using Mataki Suji. It's unlikely, let's say, unless you were really close to Tenpai, in which case they probably reached. Um, like, you're not, if you have a 4 4 5 and a 2, you ain't going to throw the 4 out first, are you?
No, you
That's
probably
just weird.
throw the two first.
And this
Sorry,
is how
throw the
these
two
two types
first.
of Suji, these two types of Sujis work together. Because again, it's a bit like the shoulder Suji. On their own, not great. But together, so strong. So if you see that
Mm.
someone's discarded the 2 sort of earliest in the game, and then they've discarded the 4, maybe 2 tiles before their reach, that's where this becomes super effective.
Oh no. That does sound like it would happen.
Yeah, it does sound, yeah.
Oh, it's just weird stuff in like the oddly specific world of Japanese pornography. Like,
Oh God, it's really weird. Like, I
it's
don't really, like,
very
yeah. There's a lot about game shows in Japanese pornography, right?
yeah.
And
Actually,
they
it's a good shape. Although, like 4 4 5 is a great shape. And so that's why you'll hold it, right? That's why you'll keep it
yeah.
until the last moment. Like, okay, well now that everything else is done, fine. I'm going to trim it down to a 4 5.
Yeah, exactly. So
Um,
this is why if the 4 comes
yeah,
out, in on the third discard, don't read the Suji. The Suji is not for you. Something else is going on, and it's probably terrifying.
yeah.
Um,
To consider the discard after an open call also Matagi Suji. I
so
think it always counts, right?
yeah, I said the only problem with an open call is it suggests that they might not be going on a regular progression. So if someone calls
Uh,
something, you really need to kind of ask yourself why are they calling it. Um, if they're calling it and they're going for a flush, then of course this again is not useful to you guys.
right, because they're going to take any win they can get. But I could
Yeah.
see if they call something that looks very pinfooey and they throw like a
I mean,
7
you
or
can't.
an 8.
Pinfu can't be open, so
Oh, I'm sorry, Tanya. I'm sorry. I'm
yeah,
being
Tanya.
Tanya.
Okay, yeah,
It's very Tanya-y, and they throw like an 8. Like it's very unlikely they trim down a 7-8-8 to be a 6-9 weight for their Tanyao unless they're playing really risky.
Maybe
Um,
the problem with that is it probably depends now on how close to Tempai they are, because if you are calling your open Tanyao, you would generally keep the pairs because you can call those from
from
anyone.
anyone, yeah, yeah.
So I would say, again, if people are calling something, I would,
She too fast.
I mean, I'm not saying don't, but
I mean,
I'd say apply it with a more gentle touch, right? And this is
hmm,
where people go wrong. They're like, oh, okay, I apply it or I don't. You don't. That's not the case. You're
no.
just trying to build up a picture, right? You're like a detective, and it may be circumstantial or it may be pertinent, and you have to be careful about, how much weight you put on the evidence.
Yeah, I'd
Uh,
say yeah, hands like you described, where it's like 3, 4, and 4, 5. They cheat 2, 5, cut 4. Like that is definitely something that could be happening. But I think Gemma's right in saying like once they're making. I think this also comes to, to be honest, in I'm going to be gentle in my words. In many Western play environments, we do have people who their idea of making a hand is not I am making a closed hand until I get somewhere and maybe lunge with a call. It's I am going to go. I'm calling everything. I'm doing everything. I'm doing it now. But yet they still have some amount of efficiency knowledge, so they would want the better weight. Um,
well, I mean, I'd definitely be tempted if I was opening my hand up to throw the 5 pin in that situation. As I said, if I am not at Tempai, I can call the 4 from anyone.
I also would feel that way a little bit. I'd be like, I don't want to rely on just this one person. And that's also again, this comes
Again,
from my experience in my own
yeah,
environments as well. But
exactly. It's your game environment then, and if you know that's how people play, then definitely read it that way. However, I think if you're probably in like higher levels of Mahjong Soul or higher level 10 hole, I think you'll find that people change their efficiency significantly depending on if they're opening or closing.
right,
Because if you're opening your hand, then the more efficient thing is to be able to call that 4.
unless you're tenpai, at which point you can call you
Unless
can win
yes,
off anyone. Yeah,
or you can see some 4s on the table. So
right.
again,
And you know
this is
it's
why
not
this
going to
is
happen.
exactly, and this is why I say it is a bit of a dark art, and there's a lot of information you've got to hold in your head, which is why I tell
Yeah.
people if you can see that that person's going for a regular discard pool, bring all of these tools in.
Hmm.
They're effective.
But once they look weird,
Once
you
things
want to
start happening,
like
then just I'm not saying don't, but maybe don't now as you're starting to get used to them because you might fall into some traps. But as you start becoming comfortable with them and you can apply them to pin through hands, then you can start going, well, I have this information. Let's start seeing, can I apply it here? Can I apply it there? And,
yeah.
and, and yeah, and you really start, and it helps you to start dig down. Well, why did someone call that? Why did they think that 3-4 man chi was a good chi?
Was a good cheat. Well, it's another one. You depending on your play environment, you might be dealing with players who are doing it in a very calculated way. You might be dealing with players who are doing it in a rush to the finish.
Yeah,
I'm
I
just
mean,
going to make a
of
tiny
course,
on
if
me
it's
done
your
way.
mum, if it's your mum that you taught over Christmas, then no.
Hey, my
Then
mom's good at
but if you're in a strong play environment, ask yourself why did that person open their hand,
yeah,
and then make decisions about what tools you use to read their discards.
yeah.
I hope that makes sense. Sorry, I know it's a lot of don't do this, don't do
It's
that.
a
But
mixed bag, and it's one of the things. Like I've seen a lot of conversation with people talking about statistics and EV and when you push and when you pull and overall math on it, and I think it's similar to how I feel about that stuff, where it's like it is good to know all of this stuff. There is merit in it,
mm,
but the table situation and the player mentality, you can't pretend that doesn't exist.
mm,
And so there's a lot of layers that you have to put on when
mm,
you decide how to like master all these tools, learn all these
mm.
tools, and then you'll start to come up with your own almost philosophy of like how much weight you give to them based on different situations.
Yeah, and I think it's partly why people get uncomfortable about Uro and Matagi, or because they're not really told. You should only really apply it when you're seeing a regular hand progression,
Hmm.
and then they get upset, and then like it doesn't work. When really the truth is that you know, they haven't been told, or they haven't kind of got in their head a good library of regular hand progressions.
Hmm.
Uh, Next slide. Let's see what the next slide says.
Matagi Suji. There's no Matagi Suji for 1 or 9 because 1 or 9s are only used in edge weights. And now you have the
Yes.
straddle. Yeah, so the 2 makes the 1 and the 4 dangerous because it could have been coming out of 2-2-3. The
Mm-hmm.
3, and yeah, that's the other thing to remember. These could come out of either side. So the 3 could come out of 3-3-4, which makes 2 and 5 dangerous, or 2-3-3, which makes 1 and 4 dangerous. And you don't know, so there's a
Yes.
lot.
There is a lot. Wait a
Um,
minute. What was I? I'm trying to see where I went after this. Okay.
All right. So
Yes.
these are
I
metallic.
get. We go to a spelling error next,
Oh no.
which is really
Combining.
embarrassing because you know,
Oh no, you
uh,
left out the G. You're combining. We're gonna
Combinig.
combining them.
It's like a combini,
Now you're
but
never
with a
gonna make
G on
vice
the end.
president. This presentation's setting your career back years. Can't believe you presented to the whole board with a combining.
I know that's embarrassing, isn't it, mate?
So this is. I'm assuming this is the 7 and the 5 that we care about in these discards.
Yeah, yeah. And as I said, it's this is the order that I'd like if the so if you remember, I said the ura comes from the early to mid game, so the 7 is just squeaking into that mid game,
And so
and the
I'm gonna
5.
I'm gonna try to read
I really
this.
need to define what early and mid game are better because this 5 is also a mid game discard, but second row discard basically here. Second row and beyond, you can kind of use this. Although honestly, if people are just going for Pinfu in the third line, other problems are happening.
So I'm gonna try to read this. I'm gonna try to read this based on the things we've discussed.
Yes.
So we're gonna say if we care about the 7 and the 5, we're gonna say the 7 because I'm seeing both of them. The 7 maybe came out from a 4-5-7 set,
Mm-hmm.
and then the 5 maybe it was a 4-5-5-7 that we were initially. First we pair off the 7, and then we finally get ready and we get rid of the 5 to have the
Mm-hmm.
4-5 set waiting on the 3 or the 6 until those tiles become big red flags that I want to avoid throwing.
Yeah, and this is a very regular. Finally, I've got a discard pool that's super regular as well.
Mm,
That's a super regular discard pool.
yeah. 9 pin I don't care
Um,
about. The
this
3
the
pin,
two souths coming out of your hand. That's a bit odd.
yeah.
But nothing else. It could be that they were holding that south for a safe tile, so that's also possible. There is a door throw. I'm going to go ahead and it's difficult
Well,
without
we
being
don't know
able to
when the
see the
con
other
was.
discard pools.
Because there's that door is
Oh,
only from a con, so it's possible the con was made
Gemma's
after that was thrown.
Gemma's gone to check the other discard
It's
pools, and the
100%
north
chance.
was thrown by. If you go to the next screen,
Oh, whoops, I went backwards.
if you go to the next screen, I can see now why they threw that door.
Oh, the north was killed already, so they were like, all right, there's no value in this door. It's not
Right,
happening.
and probably what's happened here is that they've thrown the south out. It's gone around. Someone else, so the player opposite them in south has thrown the south, and that south has been held as a safe tile.
Right, right. Especially after the reach, they were able to play a little safe. I guess they threw the 7 because they're finally getting to the point where they're close to ready. The 8's been conned, so the 8-9 weight is dead, and they're probably, I don't know, maybe they're thinking they're not waiting on a 7. Oh, no, the 7 came out. I'm sorry, the 7 came out. No,
Mm.
no, no. This player threw the 7 first. The
Yeah,
player to the left threw the 7 after knowing it was safe. But that was a risk. It was a push. The
yeah,
3 pin was a little bit of a push too, actually, to be honest. Right next to the Dora. But
yeah. They don't seem to have anything here, and we don't know the points thing here for yeah.
yeah,
So,
we can't
but
see the points.
but for whatever reason, this is not a crazy discard pool, and you can see all the action. You can see all the action towards getting something 10 by hand happens in that mid game, right?
Right.
They throw out their safe tile because they're like, well, actually, maybe I've got it. Then they get something which pushes them forward. They throw out the 7. 3 comes straight out of their hand
The 3 goes straight from the draw.
from the
They don't
draw. Yeah,
swappy
sorry,
doppy. They
sorry. So
sumo
they
the
come
3.
sorry. It's still giddy. It's straight from
And then I'm
the
assuming they
draw.
draw a 3 or 6 man, and then reach on the 5. So
Yeah, I don't have that.
for a
And
reach
this is
Pinfu, and
this is the old
maybe
one.
Dora if they're playing with Uda.
Yeah, I don't think you should reach that, but hey ho.
The
Yeah.
extra Dora might make it worth it. Cards are going to be full bait because they could have drawn 3-6s. Yes, it's not quite bait, but what you're detecting in there is that they decompose the 4-5-5 into just 4-5. You're right. It could be because they're waiting on it, but it could be because they completed it.
Yeah.
So all these things are just potential indicators. They're never a guarantee. It's just something that could be happening. What you are reading right in that 5 is that they decomposed a 4-5-5 into 4-5, but there are those two different reasons that they might have done.
Yeah, I'm only telling you what is a slightly more dangerous part of your hand that you might be working out what is safe.
Yeah.
So I can tell you what you should definitely not throw. I can't tell you what you should throw.
Great.
Welcome
Just
to
the answers
Mahjong.
we needed. Yeah, just the answers we needed, Mahjong. Definitely don't do this, but definitely don't do that.
So, and then I'll have my caveats then for the next one.
Yeah, caveats. Yeah, only effective for two-sided weights. Keep an eye on usual discard pools.
And the positions are alright. I think we covered all of these already, right?
Yeah, hey, it hits my mini rate. If you want to fold, fold. Like, do
Oh.
it.
Yeah, position of door on the suit really distorts everything.
Mm.
So, and that's why, when you see, whatever suit that your door is in, just be aware that everything strange is happening.
I
So,
kind of want to discard one S there in this previous. You want to get the one. I don't know what's the value of getting rid of one S though. Like you still have a 9 man and a 1 pin keeping you stuck outside of Tanyao. Um. So
I
what? Yeah.
mean,
Where would you be going with the one S there?
I don't think you should be reaching this. I would just throw the 5. If you're
You
going to
throw
do
the
it, just
5. Just be tempai.
I
I
mean,
guess that
no,
makes
if you're,
sense.
yeah, depending on your point situation, if you're just be tempo, don't
Just
reach it. Like,
Dama the Pinfu and be able to shut the game down, but also be able to like bail if you draw something extraordinarily dangerous. Or even if you draw a 4 pin, you can throw the one pin, and like accept it and up the value of your hand with
I
no danger.
don't really know why you'd want to push this.
I don't know. Again, we'd have to see the game situation. There might be a reason.
Yeah, I mean, you can see 2 7s, but no, I don't know why you want. I don't know.
It's
I don't
a it's
know.
a,
I
a,
don't know
a
what about to
bold
do.
push, but again, for
Yeah, I
all I
said it
know,
might be. It might be. We're
I
not
think
in.
you can rotate off those and see what comes with the matchup with the 4-5-5. So you want to see if you can build more around the 4-5-5.
I just think that kind of it's too slow at this point.
If the ones were hard safe, I'd be okay with it because I'd consider that like noodling. I'm going to take these 2 hard safe tiles. This hand isn't worth enough to win. I'll throw these 2 hard safe tiles while I sit around and see if something better comes my way that I can improve to. I think it is
I,
a little late though.
I think here, I think you should just hard fold.
Oh wow, wow, wow.
It's not worth any points, and you are playing against someone who's reached, and there's 2 Uradora there.
And you
Yeah,
can't
it's just
see
too late.
any of the original
Yeah,
Dora. You can see the Norths are out of the game, so that's not going to help anybody. But you can't see any of the fours, so
yeah.
someone's got them,
I don't think it's worth it on this one, and
and
it
it
does.
ain't
I
you.
think I think people underestimate because I think the problem is when you're building your hand at the very beginning, right? So much of what you draw is useful, but as you get towards Tempai, less is useful, and it gets slower and slower and slower.
Yeah.
So I think people underestimate how if you're going to make such a
Oh no, the one is
reverse
hard
away
safe.
from Tempai.
The one is hard
Pardon?
safe. Hold on, someone's thrown the one so already, so the one is hard safe.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I
Yes. Okay. Oh, sorry. If the one's hard, say throw the one. But what I'm saying is that, but
yeah.
then you're folding. Just say I am folding.
I think it's okay. I don't know. Again, maybe I consider this noodling. I'm
Okay.
okay saying I'm gonna throw these 2 hard safe tiles because I know for sure that I'm gonna be okay with them, and I'm gonna reevaluate my fold in a turn or two and see what happens. If I
I mean,
get magic
I,
perfect draws, if I get the 4 pin and I can swap the one out, if I get a 6, well maybe I already have a 6 man. If I get a 3 man or another 6 man, I can swap that. Like if I can get to reach Pinfu Tanya Dora, maybe like there is a chance, and let's not discount it. Again, this is maybe optimistic Dave showing up for once in his life, but like there is a chance, and let's not discount it. But I wouldn't say there is a chance. Let's not discount it by throwing risky
no.
tiles.
And I don't think you can count on. So left and right. So the west and the east player are folding. And I think if
Hmm.
you do anything, and you already have done something which is not folding, you are now going to
Fortune
not get any
telling.
tiles you want. Um,
Yeah.
classically, this game will end in the next 4 to 5 draws.
Hmm.
You don't have time, I don't think.
That's fair.
I just don't think you have time.
But it's the same as folding then. If you take 2 of those draws to
Yeah,
throw hard safes,
yeah,
so
that's
you're
fine.
not
That's
you're not
fine.
messing yourself up.
No, that's
Um,
fine. If that's what you would like to do, yes, do that. Yes, but I would not throw a dangerous tile into this.
No, no, no. I wouldn't throw a dangerous tile in the hope that I could reconfigure my hand. But now
And
because I'm blind, I didn't see this one
and
so
it's
over here.
interesting. So they've got the 1 and the 7 pin in the south player opposite you has got 1 and 7 pin in their discard pool, and to point out the 4 pin is not safe in this situation because it's the door.
Yeah, because it would be
They
worth the wait.
yeah, they are very it's not completely likely, but it's not impossible that they've got a 3 and 5 pin and they forced a wait on the door again. Someone's going to come out and say, "Oh, but there was this pro strategy book that says that pros never wait on the door," and there's bullshit right now. There's bullshit. I've heard that line so many times. Professionals do wait for the door. Of course they do.
Because you might draw it yourself. Like it's fine if your hand makes it. If you draw it yourself, like why not? And if you're not going to change your hand, if that's it, if you're at the point
Yeah.
where it's like this is what I need, I have to make this happen. Why not reach?
And the truth is, they'll have more thoughts about why they decided to put themselves into that weight situation rather than another weight situation. It might be that they need those points. It might be that they believe they're going to draw it, or they can't reverse out of their hand because they've got dangerous tiles. So they're like, well, fuck it, I'm just going to do this then. There's a lot of reasons that they might put themselves, and they'll probably have a better argument for why they wait for the Dora. But they do wait for the Dora because they're not insane mahjong players.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, and the problem is like these kind of little theories come out, and they're always on like the belt of the book, the strategy book, right? It's like pros never do this. So, and if you go to Japan and you buy a book, and they always have that kind of like little,
it's like a clickbait title, like this one weird trick makes you always win at mahjong.
Exactly, but it's always on that little belt. They call it the obi of the book, right?
Eat these tiles and you'll lose 20
Oh yeah,
pounds
look,
of
here's
belly fat
Benjamin
overnight.
Barris's book. I've got a great example here. This is the obi, this little kind of little flip thing that thing that you take off when you bring it back home. Anyway,
I never take that off.
No, I don't either. Obviously, that's why
I want my books to be well dressed.
I use it as a bookmark anyway. So they always have like what's Ben's. So an intelligent otaku American tells you what cool Japan is. And that's not really very clickbaity, but But then you can see they've highlighted
that's like
all
a reasonable synopsis.
Yeah, exactly. But they've highlighted all the things that make this, and that's what they do, right? They've highlighted the thing, and then you read it, and actually it's a lot more reasonable inside the book than what the like OB suggests it's going to be.
I heard he met Hillary Clinton once.
Pardon?
I heard Ben met Hillary Clinton once.
He did meet Hillary Clinton.
All right. So
did he ever meet Biden? There's the real question.
I don't think he met Biden. So we have our caveats. So next,
so he met the loser. That's no good.
Ooh. Oh, here. I like this. Get more. This is the end of the presentation. Why are there so many more slides?
I don't know. Yes, please do like WRC on all available platforms.
We have some Discord things. This is a little tiny. Let me see if I can make this bigger.
Yeah, this is fun. And do you know what? I don't have any notes, so I don't have any idea what I was thinking. Sorry. These might have just been random ones.
Where's this window capture? All right, here we go. I can put this below everything. I'm going to make it a little bigger for everyone. All right, so now it's a little big. Waiting on the door. Yes. That's our like YouTube video thing. Waiting on the door.
It's back to porn videos.
No, you know what? I feel like this is a conspiracy because I swear to God, if I was a pro and it was my job to win at mahjong, and someone was like, "What's a tip you'll give to all beginner mahjong players?" I'd be like, a pro never waits on the Dora, so they're always safe to throw against pros. Yeah, that is true." And then everyone will be like, "Oh, you're a pro, eh? Here's the Dora." And I'll be like, "Oh no, anything but that."
Now I know why that professional wrote that book. He's like, if I write this, I've got at least 6 months of Dora throws.
Pros never wait on the Dora. It's their weakness. They're unable to. That's how you can always defeat them.
Oh, do you know what I would do in this situation? Oh, I know what I was probably thinking. My brain has clicked back in. I know what I was probably thinking.
It's an interesting one, actually, because I would be getting like Itsu vibes out of this, although the 2 of the 1 pin are already dead. But
the 2 pin is Dora, so we're going to assume Gemma wouldn't throw that.
No. So I'm thinking the 5-man is possible, but it limits my possibilities so much. So maybe I'd start cutting the 1-2 shape.
Do you know what, though? I'm going to tell you. I'm kind of tempted to throw the 6 bamboo.
Ooh.
That's a Suji trap. That's a Suji trap.
Ooh. Okay, so if you cut it now...
Yeah.
So you could wait on the 3-so later?
Yeah.
Oh, that's rude. That's rude.
I can guarantee you someone will throw it. I know these people. I know who these people are, yeah. The people I win against in my mind, I know what
they're all pros.
Yeah, I know what they throw.
So a Tonki weight on the 2-pin will be their undoing. They'll never know.
It's a difficult one because I feel like the obvious is the 6 or the 5, right? The 5-man or the 6 bamboo.
Yeah, well, I would be considering cutting down the 1-2 bamboo shape.
I know, but you like my idea of the 6 bamboo, don't you?
I see what you're doing there. It makes sense to me. But again, I feel like it's coming from this environment, and with a table full of pros, this is valid. It's coming from an environment where you kind of need to weasel your tile out from somebody.
Yeah, but for me, like, I've already got the pair locked in. There's the 8-mans, right?
Yeah.
I'm the dealer, so I don't really want to be throwing out a proto set because I want to go fast. 6 bamboo. That's my final
I guess
answer.
the other nifty thing about that is you've only really lost the ability to accept another 6 bamboo. If you do get the
Exactly.
4 or 7, you then cut the 1 2.
Exactly.
The
Or
five can
or you
take
know,
in a
if
lot of
you well, I
things.
wouldn't if you get the 4/7, I still probably wouldn't cut the 1/2 because I throw the 5. Again, I want to just go straight for it.
I guess that's true because okay, let me go through that in my head. You get the 6 7, yeah. You throw the 5 because then in theory with the 3 you are tempo. You'd have to reach on the Dora, but like you are tempo. You wouldn't have to reach actually because you'd have the 4 7 pin wait for pin food. That's it. Although throwing the
I
Dora
mean,
would make it obvious to everyone what's
you're
going
throwing the
on, so you
door in
might
your
as well
east,
reach.
yeah. Like, well, I've seen weirder things happen, but yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it would be a great weight.
Mm.
I think those awkward weights are the sort of weights that catch people out.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. You don't expect it.
Mm.
You don't expect
Yes,
it.
it doesn't feel intuitive because that's again we teach people right from the beginning. I think we teach them just go outside in, outside in, outside in,
And
and at
it's a
some point it trips
fine
them up.
thing to do. It's a fine thing to do when you're learning. I want to be really clear
Yeah,
about that. Like there are phases of getting to know this game where these are all good strategies.
but this is
They're
the
solid.
phasing from beginner to
Yeah, yeah.
intermediate
What we're
to
talking about is moving
advanced.
from beginner. Not that these are bad things to teach people, because again, when people
Mm.
are just making sense of the game, fine, give them a formula. Yeah, start with your wins and dragons, then move to the ones and nines. Try to get Pinfu Tanyao is really going to be the foundation, the backbone of what you're building in your hand all the time. These are all fine things for beginners. As you grow up in mahjong a bit, you
Yeah.
start to learn when this is maybe not an ideal or when you want to do different things.
I mean, but this might be why. This is why teaching mahjong, we tend to we tell people just to go outside in, right, to speed up the game because you have to play faster mahjong,
Yeah, yeah.
and that in some way hampers our ability to teach people in a more accurate, more sustainable fashion. We
Are
teach
you
them
saying
workarounds for the practicalities for them to play fast.
you're saying in order to effectively sit at the table, like
Yeah,
in other words, yeah, if I'm playing in the dojo, if I'm playing in a John's or something like that,
yeah,
like the speed is really quick. It's
yeah.
really quick. And I remember when I did that the first few times, like I straight up and I'd been playing for years at that point. I missed calls
Mm-hmm.
and I just let it go, and it was my fault because I was slow. And the speed
Mm.
is really fast, and you have to be on top of it. And yeah, getting people comfortable to play like that, it's hard. And
So
like
yeah, my
yeah, giving them a
first.
formula helps.
Well, I'm going to name drop now. My first real mahjong game in Japan was against a manga professional, and I didn't even try and make a hand. I was just terrified. Like I was like, how are they playing so fast? Just throw tiles. Just don't worry about it, Gemma. Just throw the tiles, and I didn't do anything. Just fear. That was Katayama, by the way, Katayama Sensei, who does Obaku no Miku.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
and I was really starstruck as well. And I'd only ever played in a beginner environment. I had no idea they played that fast.
Oh god,
Terrifying.
yeah. It's yeah. It's something to get used to, and in a
Yeah.
weird way, it's something I dearly miss.
Mm-mm.
Like having done it, you just get in this flow. It's all just like
Mm.
happening very fast, and it's all just going on. It's great,
So again,
but
if you're watching this and you feel like you're a beginner and you're like, oh my god, I can't keep up, like just know everyone has sat there going,
yeah.
oh my god, they're going so fast.
And people
It's
should
not.
be nice to you about it. People should
Mhm.
be kind to you about it. It is fine. You are
Yeah,
learning. It is
yeah.
fine to take your time, and
But
don't
what you're
ever
having is not a unique experience, and
no
you will
no
get
no
there.
don't ever let anyone make you feel crappy about needing to think or needing to take your time. Like it's fine, and it's part
Mm.
of your learning process. Do we have another WW? What would you? Oh, we do. Oh, what a discard! Oh boy. Oh, I've thrown my 6. Hold on, it's happened.
Well, this is old Tomatake Pro.
Oh, hey, I love him.
Go straight through the six. Yes, yes, yes. Me and Tomatake are like
Tomatake Pro,
mahjong soul
mind meld
buddies.
with Tomatake. So this is just the aftermath of what happened.
This is the aftermath.
All
Okay.
right, do we have? Oh, and then this
Do you
is
have
where it
another
ended
one?
up going. Okay, yeah. So what ended up happening is kind of what we discussed. Is the 5 6 7 got completed, the 1 2 3 got completed, and then it was well, we're done with this. We got to reach. We're going to throw the door because we can't fit it anymore. We're going to reach. I'm the dealer, so imagining that's why it's worth just going for it.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah. So then this is a nice 2 sided 4 7 weight for reach pin fu.
Hmm.
Keep you going as dealer. Put everyone else on the defensive.
Yeah.
And see what happens. I think that's the last slide. Oh no, we have a second one. We don't have any follow up to this one. Ugh!
We don't
What
follow
is
up with
this?
paid.
This is what is this?
This is probably why I decided this one and didn't put a follow up because I was just like,
Why? I don't want to discard anything. I'll keep
I know,
all.
right?
I could see 3-man.
No, it's the one man, isn't
Oh
it?
wait, we're looking at danger. We might be looking at danger from across the way.
No, well, it's one man because then you're waiting on the two, the three, or the four.
Um, that is true. So the 1-man gets you the 3-sided weight with a 2, 3, or 4. You have Tanyao if you throw the 1, so you're
The
good.
twos are dead. The threes are dead.
The 3s are dead.
So then you'd only be waiting on two fours.
The 1s are dead. So there's no other 1s.
You could
There's no
throw.
other 2s. There's no other 3s.
You
One
could
M is
throw the.
super. Yeah, 1M is hyper safe, which might make the 1-man a good one just because you can hang out. And
Yeah,
then if you draw, you can't draw another 2 so.
you
You
could
could
get
draw a
yourself
5
into a.
so,
Yeah.
and then get into Rion Peiko, my good friend Rion Peiko. Oh, it's real late. It's real late. I'd say probably the 1 because the 1 gets you to 2 situations you want to be in. One is I am discarding a safe tile. The 1 is hard safe on everyone, and 2 is
Yeah.
I am Tenpai, so I can worry about staying Tenpai for my next draw, but I can hang out and go for Keitan. But well, were we supposed to be reading the discards of our reach player across here?
I know. I reckon I just put that in there because I'm like, Jesus, what was this? It's one of those ones where you just panic and you just click tiles, and then after these are the sort of hands that you should double check afterwards. You know, what did I do the right thing? Was this the right way to go?
Yeah. Oh man, this is so gross. I love it.
It's really nasty.
Uh,
The two man, it's safe.
2-man is safe because 1-man is dead and 2-man is
Yeah,
dead. So
and
you
you got
can't.
a
The
Kabe
one
on
three
the
weight's
three man
impossible.
anyway.
You know all the yeah. So actually, the 1s and 2s are all hard, like guaranteed safe from all weights, which is great because you have enough. You now have enough safe tiles to just bail your way out of the rest of this hand if you want to.
Yeah, so if you throw the two and then you drew a five or a six, then you could throw the one and you'd be tempo still, right? Whereas if you throw the one,
You could throw the
then you're
3. You'd have
in
to throw the
then you're in
3.
a situation where you have to throw the three, and this is what then maybe this is what my point was. You have
Yeah.
to think a few steps ahead. Like it's a bit like chess, isn't it? You've got to go, well, you know, what's my step after that? What's my step after that?
Yeah, I see. Because if you throw the 1, you could
You're
always
not.
throw the 2.
You could throw the two, but you're not. I mean, you're tempo, but you're not going to be. It's not. You don't have a yaku, right?
You have Tanya if you throw the 1.
No, but if you sorry, if you throw the two,
Yeah.
I think the two is the better throw because it gives you more potential to upgrade. Whereas if you throw the one,
How does the 2 give you more potential to upgrade?
because you've got the five or the six, right? If you throw the one and you've got the five or the six, the upgrade is throwing the three. Am I thinking this right? I need to set a
Yeah, I'm
target.
like, hold on. Hold on. If I
But
throw.
if I throw the one, I've got two, two, three, three, four. If I draw a five,
We have two 4s.
okay, so it's two, two, three, 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 four, four. If I draw a five,
Right. So you're waiting on the 2, the 3, or
oh,
the
okay. No,
4.
if I draw a five, I can throw the two as well. So it doesn't really matter,
Yeah,
does
yeah,
it?
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I
Fair
was gonna
enough.
say
Fair
2,
enough.
1, and 1, 2. They've got to both be the same. Small blessings, only one hidden
Mm-hmm.
door. Yeah, the door is mostly dead. Even though you're the one who threw them all because you hate them. Take that door. So yeah, like I feel like I'd throw the 1 here to give me that little tiny chance that a 4 comes out. Like
Yeah.
me. And then on my next draw, see whether I was in danger or not. If I was in danger, I could move to throwing the 2s and just say I'm bailing because I have enough tiles to bail the rest of the way. Or I can
Yeah. Interesting.
I can
Oh, look at the
go.
old run run.
Yeah, I know. I miss the old Run. I love old Run. All right, so that's
That
our
was intense. Right, Dave, did you
hot
watch
prezo.
Mind Games The Experiment? If not, why
I
not?
did not yet. I have to. I've been super busy.
Right, so those
Um.
kids here who haven't yet, you know, I should get the link for it. Let me do
Oh
that
yeah,
now.
watch Mind Games: The Experiment on Amazon Prime Video. It's all about ASIC. It's a documentary about ASICs. By
No, it's
ASICS.
not a
About
documentary
ASICS.
about it. It's by it. Well,
By
it's
ASICS.
sponsored
For
by
ASICS.
ASIC. Ashiksa. It's sponsored by
Ashix.
Ashiksa.
Ashix. Basically features
Um,
four different people who all play competitive mind games. One of which is our friend Ryoe Hirano, who plays Mahjong with JPML, and others. I believe it includes a Street Fighter competitor. It includes a chess competitor, and it includes a memory competitor. They memorize packs of cards. Is their thing?
yes, or speed memorizing. So
Speed
he has
memorization
to,
of
and
packs of
then
cards.
I mean
Which
that one is
sure,
really that. Yeah, it's really impressive. That guy. Like
yeah,
I
yeah.
was like,
So you can see it on
yeah.
Amazon Prime. It's gonna be pretty cool. I haven't had a chance to watch it. I really have to. It just came out a couple days ago though. It's been 3 days, so I've been.
And you can see. I mean, you get to see my face every week, but you get to see like this part of me for like a
Ooh,
split second.
that's pretty
It's
good.
really hot. I'm
That's pretty.
famous, and I'm waiting. I'm waiting for my modeling contract now.
That's pretty exciting. So yeah, check it out. It's not to be fair. It's mostly about exercise and how exercise is good for you, which it generally is, and how it can improve your health and mental acuity. It's not really about mahjong per se, but it features mahjong, so you can see some stuff. Oh, we get some Toshi views as well.
Yeah, yeah. He gets more of a profile view, so you'll get to see the profile of my husband. Um,
Profile and courage.
but yeah. I mean, I was quite excited by it, especially if you're hoping to go to WRC 2025. I am a
Mm,
big believer that exercise. Like I exercised before I had a child, anyway. Not so much now, but
back in the day.
back in the day. And I do genuinely believe that exercise can really improve
Yeah.
like your whole well-being. And this is the problem. We get a lot of, especially when it comes to kind of like these kind of computer gamey games. And the people and they're like dunking their energy drinks and they're drinking their like strong coffees. And it's probably not the best way to have the best mind performance.
No, no, probably not. This is my teaser hashtag I put out in the chat now.
Body by
Body by
day.
day. This is a joke that has come up, but it's actually one of the things that we want to do as 2025 prep. Part of our prep program that we're coming up with to get people ready for 2025 is going to include exercise.
Yeah.
Because yeah, it is. I mean, it's not about being, if you want to be, go ahead. It's not about being a ripped bodybuilder, but like being physically healthy, being mobile, being in
Yeah.
good shape can support your brain and make sure your brain's getting all the energy it needs to do the stuff it needs to do to make you excellent at what you're doing. So I actually do. I'm not paid by ASICS to say this.
No,
I
I'm not.
actually
I'm
do
not.
believe in the fundamental premise of this. That like again, it's not that you have to be a top tier athlete, but being in good shape will
I'm
help
not
you.
sure that supporting exercise and stuff means that you're not
I'm just saying.
pushing
I'm
them.
not saying
You're
this
not pushing
out
their
of a
clothes. Look,
shtick.
I've got no Asics clothes on right now. So,
That's true, no ASICS.
um,
But so body by Dave is what we've decided we're going to name our program. It seems for physical health. The USPML Physical Health Program is Body by Dave now.
and especially if you are like, it's funny. In my 30s, I was healthier than in my 20s because in my 20s, of course,
Yeah.
I was just doing all the wrong things. I was
Oh
eating
same.
crap.
Oh same.
Yeah,
Well, you also hit that weird speed bump where like in your teens you're like I'm gonna eat 5 courses of pasta, and your body's like sweet, we're growing, and it's all good, and then at some point your body's like, yeah, I don't need that anymore.
yeah, yeah.
Send
It
that all
doesn't
over to
warn you
Fat
either.
City, please, and you're just like, this is what I do. If you don't adapt, it's a rough time.
But I do think like there's definitely like there's that, and then you're in your 20s, and then slowly the fat starts piling up, and you're starting to get these bad outcomes in your body.
Oh yeah.
But then at some point, I think in your 30s, and you're trying to jog for the bus or something, and like within like 30 seconds, you're like, oh my god, my heart, I'm gonna die. I thought that was it for me at one point. Like I tried to jog or run for something, and I was like, oh. if I don't do
I like your
something,
gentle, like, oh dear, death is coming for me. Like,
we're British, right? So I'd be like, oh, okay.
I felt the cold touch of death's hand there.
It's true. It's true. So if you're in your 30s at any point, and it's true, like there's like literally no bad time to start. It's only going to you can reset all the terrible things you've done to yourself. You
Don't
really
become
can.
one of those people who doesn't pay attention to it, because it will. Again, this is why I've cared about this for the past few years. Like, it will set you up for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
It sets you up for the rest of your life when you're getting older, and like, yeah, at some point your body really is just like, yeah, I'm not doing any of that anymore. Like, you used to be able to treat me like garbage, and I'd just be like, sure, whatever, boss, let's go. Next day, I'll be fine. Like, no, it will never be like that again. It is over.
Mm.
And
I mean,
so,
And I mean, no, I don't. If you're 20 and you're just listening to us and you're like, yeah, yeah, blah, 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 I'm like,
You'll think that because you haven't experienced it yet. That's
yeah,
the
and that's
first
fine.
being known.
You're where you need to be right now. But
It's all
at
right.
some
You can
point,
come crawling back in 10 years and we'll be here to be like, we were right.
but it's funny, like I spent a long time at one point because I was getting terrible back problems, and I was like, oh, I've got to buy a better chair. Oh, I've got to do this, and like sorting out posture. And when I started a little bit of an exercise regime within a month, I did not have
Yeah,
back
yeah. You get
problems.
your core muscles together. You get some stabilizers going, and suddenly your body's
Yeah.
like, oh hey, I can hold this back up.
I can hold you up in front of the computer
Yeah.
again. Yeah, and it's crazy. I think, and part of consumer capitalism, right, is you've got a bad back, you Google bad back, and then you're confronted with
Creams and
have
unguents.
this office chair, or like, yeah, get this
Yeah.
thing that supports your posture or whatever. Which
Yeah.
actually apparently they're worse for you because they make your muscles even lazier.
Right.
Anyway, so they just tell you, well, you can buy this thing and then it'll be gone immediately. And that's
Yeah.
not.
No. It's you've got to put work. You can buy a gym subscription, but then you have to like use it too. You can just pay for it, unfortunately.
Yeah, you do have to go.
So watch
I
our
haven't got.
documentary. What? It's not our documentary. Watch the ASICS documentary. It's cool. You'll learn a bunch about health. You'll learn a bunch about other stuff. The one thing that confused me is that at the reception, I think I said this last time, the Street Fighter people got nicer chairs than everyone else, and I think that's unfair. I think everyone deserves a nice chair to sit in. But
Well, JPML have nice chairs. If
they
you
do.
go,
I gotta get some
if you
chairs.
look at if they look at, I always see their chairs, and I'm like, why don't I have that chair?
I want
JPML,
that
send me
chair.
a better chair because
I gotta get
I
those
want a
little
dining
corner
room
tables,
chair
little
at the
kitty
moment.
corner tables. They're hashtag gamer. Everyone gets a gamer chair. They're all gamers. We all get a gamer chair.
I want
I bought a
a,
nice chair for myself here. I have a nice. It's not a gamer style chair, but this is a quality chair because I'm realizing I sat here so long. Like I should be
well,
sitting in a chair that's
I'm
good.
sitting, I'm literally sitting on the floor, with nothing to support me, surrounded by my junk.
Nice,
So
nice.
I've reached peak
I
adulthood.
I sponsor myself. If people need sponsorships for chairs, let me know.
You mean
Um,
if chair sponsors want to sponsor our chair?
if chairs want to sponsor our chairs, I'm happy to do it. We can figure it out. The other announcement. I guess I've been teasing an announcement.
You have been teasing.
I've been
You're a
teasing an
tease,
announcement.
Dave.
I'm
You're a
going to give a
tease.
half announcement. I'm going to half announcement.
Half announcement.
It's a half announcement. It's going to be that
Okay.
our next meetup in February is going to be at a new venue in Midtown Manhattan.
A new venue,
A
you
new
say?
venue
I'm
in Midtown
excited.
Manhattan. The other half, yes, the other half probably next week. We're breaking it up just to get the maximum viewership out of it because I'm desperate to keep you all dangling. But yeah,
I feel like it's a new venue. Like I feel you need more for it to be a cliffhanger.
well, we'll deal with the specifics of it later, and what's going to take what the full like structure of what's going to be taking place there can come later. But for
Yeah,
now,
Dr. Ballon is like
yeah,
new venue.
Dr. Valan is shocked by this revelation. It's in
So
Midtown Manhattan. It's right by Penn Station, in the
I
Herald
think we
Square
should give some
area.
context. Dave has been running his meetup out of a board game cafe, right?
Yes,
Basically,
yes.
the
So
back
for
room of a
many
board game
years,
cafe.
I think maybe since 2014, even it's been a long time.
I've been there,
Um,
so it's been a long time.
yeah, yeah. So we were at the Uncommons, and to be fair, let me be clear. The Uncommons is a lovely place. It's a nice little board game cafe just south of Madison Square Park, I believe, it's on Thompson Street. They have lattes, they have snacks, they have board games. You can go there, you can sit down, you can play. Great. But in terms of their space available for mahjong, it was not so ideal. It wasn't really designed for like kind of doing what we do. But we may do there for a good many years. We were in their side room on Sundays. But you know, in the long run, I felt like it was really kind of a hindrance to our meetups. That like we had a very limited time slice there. It wasn't always very comfortable to physically get in there. They're poor employees that to haul our tables up and down out of the basement week after week after week, and the poor tables have been beaten up a bit too, which is unfortunate. So it was just a rough spot. It wasn't really the best spot for a meetup to be and to grow. So now here in 2023, we found a new spot to be at, and that spot's going to be again Midtown Manhattan, right by Penn Station, easy to come and go from, and our schedule there is very very open. So we're still considering whether to stick with Sunday mornings or whether to move to like a Saturday afternoon type thing or something a little more palatable for people. We got some input from a survey as to when was best. So we're going to look and figure that out. That should be announced by next week. So next week's like this rest of the announcement. There's more specifics about the meetup.
So if you're ever in New York, hit up Dave.
Yeah, if
Dave
you're in New York,
knows.
you want to come to a meetup, check out our website. It'll list them. We're gonna get more data there too. We're gonna overhaul the website a bit too to make it a little nicer.
And you
But
can abuse Dave for a strategy to his
please
face.
do.
It's even more fun than on Twitch.
Is it?
Yeah, it's Chantaman.
Yeah, Chantaman says discard 5. 5 will never be good. But yeah, so it's gonna be Midtown Manhattan, around K-Town, around Herald Square, easy to come and go. Convenient if you're coming in from the island, coming from out of there, it's great because you can easily get to the LIRR. If you come from anywhere else in New York, it's even easier than the Lower East Side, even though Lower East Side isn't so bad. But yes, please, if it's in the reverse, if you're in America and you make a chanta, I will show up and high five you. You don't need to look for my approval. I will find you and I will high five you.
I just imagine you a bit like Captain America, but like Chanta across your chest or something.
Captain Chanta, that's what they call me. So again, more details next week, but this is the first wave of details. The more details will also be kind of exciting, so expect that to be kind of cool.
Can we have pictures? Can we have pictures next week?
You want pictures next week?
I do want pictures.
Let's get some pictures next week.
We've already established I'm a very visual person.
It's true. Do we need an animation of the old venue fading away? And then the new venue fading in.
So as long as it's not a porn video of the new venue, that's fine. That's fine.
I am contractually obligated now to show up and high five you for a chanta. I'll do it. I think I made a Sanchoku chanta on Friday. I high fived myself.
Oh, that's so good. Sanshoku chanta is like the height of goodness.
Yeah, I was just like, yeah.
I don't know. Sanshoku Junchan is possibly Sanshoku Junchan is better.
It is better. But that's like saying like a cake versus a bigger cake. You know, like the bigger cake is for sure better. But yeah, Sanshoku chanta is just like, yeah. Sanshoku Junchan, okay, yes, that is pretty sick. I also missed 3 similar pongs. I was so sad because I ended up with like 2 pongs and then 2 honor pongs and then a pair of the third. And I was
Sanshoku Doko is just a flirt.
I know. Although Orion Peiko happened. Happened IRL.
You're gonna die. It's obviously the most rare hand
and
ever.
My buddy friggin' zonked the heck out of me with like a 3rd discard dealer Chitoi Dora 2. Non-reached. I was just like, all right,
you're reminding me why I need to get back to playing in real life. Like, you don't get these experiences, these feelings.
I was just
online.
Like, great, yes, okay. I discarded any tile and this happened. Awesome. It was a good hand. It was a great hand. I'm never mad at other people's victories. Only my own losses.
I don't think we've got anything else to talk about.
I think we're good for the event. Maybe a little short stream because we're off cycle by one day.
Yeah.
So we'll have more news, more exciting.
We got to go to work tomorrow.
Yeah. Oh, I got to go to work.
I hate work.
I got to go to work.
Unless you're my employer, and then I really love work, and I'm working very, very hard for you.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad to hear that. Anyway,
I do work hard.
You do. We both do. We work hard. I actually am pretty into this job. I like this job. I'm having a good time at this job. Yeah. Sunday we're off by one this week because yesterday was Chinese New Year. But I also had a lunch appointment with a friend of mine that I had not seen in like 5 years, and I was like, I can't. If that's their only time they're free, I really needed to catch up. It was great to see them, and I'm sorry to bump our stream by a day, but it was a rare requirement because of this stream. Well, better fascinated that you experienced it because of this stream than because you were suddenly accelerated to near light speeds. Because experiencing the extreme is hopefully less harmful for you than that level of acceleration. We hope.
Okay, not promising anything. You may just have gotten a bunch of terribly bad Mahjong strategy courtesy Gemma. So when you all start losing next week, I want to hear about it.
Told me about all these sujis, but all the weights were just on the door.
Well, now that I've taught you, I'm just going to be like that pro who said we never wait on the door.
We never wait on the door. Never. No pro does this. All right, we are very humorous people, but all right. So I'll let you guys go a little early. But thank you all for joining us again.
Thanks,
Be
guys.
back next week. More announcements, more exciting stuff, more game reviews, more Mahjong. Keep playing.
And thank you for sitting through my terrible presentation. I promise I will improve it, and maybe I can redo it and then upload it, and then you can use it to teach people.
Gemma over to New York to make her.
Can I get on an airplane? Do I have to be carted?
No, it's a cart. Yeah, we roll the cart into a shipping container. We lock you in that. And then it takes a while.
Well, I have to see the new venue.
You do. You have to see all this stuff. It's going to be really exciting.
Woo.
All right. So thanks, everybody. See you next week. Otherwise,
on Saturday again. Back on Saturday.
Back on Saturday, yes. Bye all.
Bye. Bye, 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 bye.